Y'all ready for this? Words in history, historical sources, and words and pictures. Part number one, a visual vocabulary. Now, having said the word visual, the definition for each word is also contained in this presentation. And what I would like you to do is write down the definition on your words in history paper as we go through the presentation. Now, in order to do that, when I'm done talking about a word, I will say, jump! You don't have to say how high, but what you do have to do is to stop the video, copy down the definition, and when you're ready, start it up again. At the end of part two, we will look at some sources of a historical topic, namely President Abraham Lincoln, and we will try to apply these words to those sources. Let's do this thing. Word number one, prehistory. All history before the development of writing, and I do mean all history, every single little bit of it. Now, if you're looking at this word prehistory, what two words in this definition would define it for you? I know they're still falling down, but what two words would define prehistory for you? That's right, before writing. Before writing prehistory. And here are some sources from prehistory. Very famous cave in France. It's called the Lascaux Cave. Contains hundreds of drawings and picture and paintings done by some of our early human ancestors, dating back about 15,000 years. Stone arrowhead and spear tips, very, very sharp, I'm sure. Some pottery, and some fossilized skulls, some of these being some of our early human ancestors. Prehistory. Jump. Non-written source. There are three kinds: fossils, artifacts, and oral traditions. That's it. Simple as that. And we have some examples. This guy who needs the dental work up here would be a fossil, as would this bone. This super cool helmet from ancient Greece would be an artifact. And over here we have the picture depicting oral traditions. One generation, the man, passing on stories of his culture to another generation, the boys. Non-written sources. Jump! Artifact. Any human-made or modified object of archaeological or historical importance. I've underlined made or modified, so that really defines artifact for me, but you could also put in human and object into that. So here's some examples of artifacts. The first one being a stone carving of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh or king by the name of Akhenaten. And Akhenaten was a very controversial figure in ancient Egypt, and we'll be visiting with him later in the year. But before we visit him, we'll be visiting this guy right here. His name's Hammurabi, and this stone contains his law code. Hammurabi was the king of Babylon, created an empire in ancient Mesopotamia. Now, this is the oldest, most complete, here's the key, known law code in history. Known refers to the fact that there may be older and more complete ones, we just haven't found them yet. This stone is called a stele, S-T-E-L-E. It has nothing to do with the steel, the metal. A stele is a commemorative stone, and this commemorates Hammurabi's law code. This is technology over here. This stone is technology from 1.5 million years ago. Imagine, this was the smartphone of 1.5 million years ago. Imagine this. Imagine if this was the only technology you had. This was just a stone, and what they did, our ancient human ancestors would chip and flake it at the edges, make it a sharp edge, and this was used as a cutting tool. It's known as a hand axe. So 1.5 million years ago, this stone, get ready for it, was cutting edge technology. Jump! Fossils. The remains or imprint of a plant or animal. 4 words really define fossil for me, and that is remains, imprint, plant, animal. Now this phrase down here kind of tells us how a fossil is created. Bone turned to stone. This fossilized skull and these fossilized bones here, this one happens to be a very famous one. This is an early human ancestor who has the scientific name of Australopithecus afarensis. That's a mouthful to say, so you can call her by her nickname, which was Lucy. But these fossilized bones and this fossilized bones were buried millions of years ago. And while buried for millions of years, a chemical process turns them from bone to stone. But the key here is they are exact replicas of the original bones. Here we have the other kind of a fossil, which is just an imprint in a stone, and this happens to be a crayfish. Fossils! Jump! Oral traditions. Legends, myths, beliefs that a culture passes from generation to generation by word of mouth. Is that picture again? Culture being passed from one generation to the next. Now, the Center for Studies in Oral Tradition actually records oral traditions, either audio and visual or just audio. And this is important because when it's done orally over thousands of years, those stories can't help but change. When one person tells a story to another, and they tell it to another, and another, and another. Oral traditions. Jump. Did you feel it? Did you sense it? Can you see it? The change that just happened. The monumental change in history. With the invention of written language, history and the recording of it and our knowledge of it changes completely. Because with written language, somebody who wrote this 4,000 years ago can talk to you. So with written language, historians know so much more about these ancient peoples. There's 3 examples of a written language here. And this one is called the Rosetta Stone. And no, it's not the one that you see on TV, the commercial. That one on the commercial gets its name from this one. This was the key to decoding ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, their writing system. And it was a pictograph writing system. It was basically pictures. And this is it right up here. These are other languages. This system over here, this writing system, was done by the Sumerians, and it's called cuneiform, and the Sumerians lived in Mesopotamia. This happens to be made of clay, and what they did was, when the clay was wet, they would make the impressions of the cuneiform in it, then they would leave the tablet out to dry, it would harden, and voila! You have a written record that can last thousands of years, and you can read. And over here we have a writing on paper, not your standard ream of paper. This is a paper made from a plant that grows along the Nile River in Egypt called papyrus. So, although written languages can come in any format, such as these down here, they can also come in what you might call other formats, like on paper, on clay, or on stone. Written sources with writing. History, recorded history, changes completely. It is one of the most important inventions in history, written language. This ends part 1. Mr. Bernard signing off.